3, 2, 1. Welcome to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. So thrilled and honored to have the head coach of the ULM Warhawks, Terry Bowden, on the show. Coach, let's get right into it. We got 2 weeks done with camp, 2 weeks to go. How has it gone so far?
Been good. You always worry about injuries to key players in preseason. You have a little bit more time this year. I think we did anyway, to get ready for the first game. So you want to do as much as you can, and you just got to cross your fingers that you don't get key people hurt. And so in that regard, we've been pretty fortunate with that regard. The extreme heat we've had we've made it through most of it. And when you look back, it's going to be beneficial to us if we play in humidity. We open with Army and it's going to be humid. So we were able to get through it. So that could have been a problem, but I think with knowing hydration and the things that you got to do, we were able to get through that as well. So I'm really pleased. And now we're going to get down to probably some scout teams and getting a little bit of extra week and a half against Army.
Are you guys using the analytics and all the data for the trainers, knowing when, all right, these guys, and I was surprised to hear it, at least from the Cajuns, they said, the wide receivers are running like 3, 4, 5 miles, and you can see early on in the next day's camp, they're not running as fast. Maybe we dial down their reps and move some other guys up because, like you said, you can only do so much about the heat, right? The guys are going to go all out as much as they can, but, when they're pushing too hard and they don't have enough, it kind of ruins the practice.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. The health, safety, welfare of the players always has to be primary. So we check weights every day before practice, every day after. We look at their beginning to a day, a preseason weight, their daily preseason weight, hydration, all those things we watch closely. But there's also the fact that I don't want my boys to feel good today. I want them to feel good the first Saturday. And I tell my players, it's not your job. It's not my job to make you feel great. Your job to go out there on dead legs, tired legs, whatever, go play as hard as you can. It's my job as a coach is to have you ready to play full speed on the Saturday that we open the season. That being said, you've got to be cautious. But it's been 40 years since I had my first head coaching job in college, 1983. So I've done this a long time. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how we did some of the things we did 30 years ago. We're much safer. We're much more cognizant of the difficulties of hydration and weight and analytics. But there's something old school about me that says, man, we got to pay a little bit of a price of this weather, and we're kind of through that now.
Well, and that I was talking individually, but you're talking as a group, and I've known coaches that, they try to get their team ready because maybe they're playing up in competition, and all of a sudden they realize we don't have any legs. Even Coach Ted says it's a fine line between being ready and being rested, and you're already talking about we can beat dead legs this week. We just can't beat dead leg in 2 weeks.
Well, right, and we've got an extra week really of preseason a little bit because we start on the 2nd or 3rd of September, and so right now about Wednesday we'll start to say, okay, look, we got a game week with 2 or 3 extra days, and so that'll do. And you mentioned receivers; they run more than anybody. I tell my coaches we better deep balls and takeoffs. We better get that timing down the summer because we can't run them dead legged completely in preseason trying to learn how to throw a ball deep and hit it on time. Those are several things you've got to have done in the summer so you don't wear your receivers out during the preseason.
We're talking with ULM head coach Terry Bowden. All right, let's talk about last season. ULM was heading in the right direction. You had a win over the Cajuns. You hung with Coastal Carolina. You hung with South Alabama. You took down Texas State and Georgia State. It looked like you were heading in the right direction, and then Chandler Rogers decides to go home. Yeah. So let's skip that part and just go right to you got Jiya right? You're going with him. And how much easier is it for somebody, like you said, coaching 40 years? That's one thing I don't have to worry about. As long as he proves what we've seen before, he's the guy, we can move forward with him, and that helps round out the whole team, if not just at least the offense.
Well, Jiya was always quarterback A and B last year. Then he cracked a rib the first game and really was out of the picture for so long. We never got back to Jiya, right? But he's done a great job of persevering and staying with it. I use 2 quarterbacks as an example for him, the quarterback at Georgia and the quarterback at Tennessee. Georgia's quarterback, 6 years in college, the first 4, he got beat out by somebody. It's beat out every year at Georgia by somebody, even though he went to a junior college and came back. But even the year that he won the championship the first time, he got beat out at the beginning of the season and replaced him.
He did.
And the poor guy at Tennessee, he backed up 4 straight years at Virginia Tech, and then came in and got beat out at Tennessee the first year. Then that guy got hurt, and he took him to 2 great seasons. So that in that light, I've said, Jiya, you've paid your dues. You spent your time, and it's time for you to do good. But Hunter Herring, who came to us from Lafayette, who was he's done a great job as a backup. But he's 6'4.5", 215, and I think he's going to be a fine quarterback for us too.
How has Jiya, I want to say improved, but progressed is the right word. How has he progressed during camp?
Well, I think quarterbacks respond when they are the number one guy, and they know that they respond as a quarterback should respond. He's been very well there. He's probably got a little stronger arm than Chandler. He probably got a little better running skills than Chandler, but Chandler was just a little bit more poised, just relaxed in the pocket. Jiya is going to try to make a play, but he really is has done well to we're going to try to run that football. Jiya is a pretty good running quarterback, and make sure we establish that run. And then we've got Ty Howell out wide and some other guys that can play pretty well out wide that we want to get the ball to. But we got to play with our quarterbacks being really good runners as well as a quarterback that can throw the football.
We're talking to Terry Bowden, head coach of the ULM Warhawks on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. All right, I asked you this. I didn't ask it in this Sunbelt Media Days. I asked you 2 Sunbelt Media Days ago. Do these players even know who you are? Do they know what the Bowden name is? These kids are so young, Coach. Their parents may not know who you are. Do you realize who they're dealing with?
My players weren't even born. I mean, I have 2 careers. I was a head coach in college for 15 years. Then I worked at ABC in New York for 10.
Right.
And I've had 13 years after that. And so they don't even know who I was in those first 15. And I don't. They don't know who. Shoot, they don't know who Bo Jackson is. They don't know who, a lot of the guys that we grew up knowing. You can't use those guys as an example. No, I think the best thing that I can do is I've not just been a head coach at Auburn, but I've been a head coach at Salem College with 1,200 students. North Alabama, when I came back into football to D2, Akron had about the same history as ULM of always being at the bottom of the conference when they moved up to one. Akron was a national run up at 1AA in the late 80s. Then they never could find any success at 1A. And so I've had a good bit of experience in dealing with teams that have had to overcome a sluggish move to Division I. And so I'm excited about it. And last year, although the record didn't change, we played so many of the better teams in our conference up close. We played very, very well, and usually it was the second half we couldn't hang. We didn't have enough players. Well, we were ahead of even Army. We were ahead at halftime as well as South Alabama. Troy, we were close, tied up in the fourth quarter at Southern Miss. There's an old saying that when you build a program from scratch, you're going to lose big, then lose close, then win close, then win big. And we're in that win close, lose close level. So we've got to find a way. We have a motto this year. It's time. Why are we going to win the year? Well, not because we're necessarily better than everybody else, but it's just time for ULM to win. No excuses. Don't worry about what you haven't got. Let's just go out there and say, what? It's just time for us to make something happen. And that's kind of our slogan this year for our players.
Well, ULM, flat out may be the most difficult job in Division I football and FBS football. Now you seem to have an AD, John Hartwell, really enthusiastic guy from Utah State, wants to be there, reaching out to new people. And it feels like, usually when a new AD gets in there, the football coach is a little nervous. I don't get that this time. I think he's very happy that he does not have to worry about Terry Bowden.
Yeah, John's done a good job. Again, there's one guy that's been doing this business a little longer than John is me. But the reality is, when you're my age, everybody's looking. Is this guy still hungry? Is he still got that fire in his belly? And I think being away at ABC for 10 years, whatever it is, I get up off early every morning, excited about coaching football. And John's going to be a great help to us as we build this program. I really came to ULM as a last job. I really said, I'm not looking for another job. I don't have a resume, but I will not be satisfied. My thirst for success will not be fulfilled unless we leave this program as a winning program. And so that's been my point, and we are closer to that than we were when we got here.
We're talking with Terry Bowden, ULM head coach, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Or we talked about the quarterback. What were some other position battles on the offensive side of the ball in camp?
Well, I think we've had at wide receiver, we lost some players besides Tal Howell. Who's going to be on the other edge? Darian Wiley has done a great job there as far as his establishing himself as the number one guy. Now, the running back battle has been fun. Hunter Smith, who was kind of the third or fourth guy last year, he's now just a sophomore. But he's fought his way into that tailback position along with Isaiah Woolard from Ole Miss, Thad Franklin from Miami, as well as Bennett Galloway. We have four running backs that all have some major skills at what they do. I think that's the battle. Offensive line, it's experience. We have competition. We have about 12 on scholarship now, as opposed to just 8 or 9. And when you got 12 on scholarship, you've got competition. You want to end up with 8. 3 tackles, 3 guards, and 2 centers. If you can end up with that, you're going to have a pretty good offensive line if injuries were to hit you. But I feel the competition there on offense. I think that's the key. Which running back shows up the most? I'm not quite sure, but I like what they all do in that regard as well.
Well, how do you see the Sun Belt? Because I see it as you got to put up some points. The Troys and the Marshalls are very rare with their kind of defense. It's more about what Coastal was doing, what the Cajuns used to do, what Texas State and ODU want to do, what South Alabama does now. You got to put up some points. It's nice to be able to win when your defense only gives up 10 points. That's much easier. But at the same time, it's tough to win when you're only scoring 3 touchdowns a game.
Well, like I said, that's the reality. I'm old school enough to know you win with defense. They're there every day. They keep you in ball games. If you got a great defense, you got a chance to win. But in today's game, I don't care what level you are, your offense has to be as productive as the defense is at stopping people from being productive. And that's one of those things that we want to do now with Vic Koenning here and his experience in the Sun Belt, as well as a defensive coordinator around the country. He was my brother's coordinator at Clemson for a good long while. He's had great success in the conference twice when he was at Troy. I think he's in his second year here. He was able to go out and get some transfers that fit his style. So yes, I think defense is still the key, but by gosh, who you better score points on offense, because you cannot compete in today's world. And the Sun Belt, to me, imitates the Southeastern Conference so much in the commitment to their sport and facilities and the passion that the fans have. And if you look at Georgia or Alabama or any of the best teams in the Sun Belt, including Tennessee, those teams score points. And so you're very right about that. You can't just sit back. Now, my hat's off to Troy. How can you not be amazed at what they did and the great job they did? They deserve all the credit, but they went out and beat people 10-9 and 13-6 and did a great job of saying, hey, the old school football isn't over yet. But again, I imagine they're probably saying, yeah, let's try to get a little offense too, as well as ULM.
All right, so let's flip the side of the ball. What are we looking at up front on the defensive line?
Well, we're going to be a little quicker on defensive line, probably not as big, but we added Aiden Huntington from Kent State. He's been an incredible surprise for us. We brought him down for the Sun Belt Media Days. About 285, but he can run and he can make plays. I think he's a big extra guy there. Kennard Snyder at the other side is awful good as well. We've got a very, very athletic defense. I said, what's going to be different about this defense as I look at it and play against it in the spring and preseason. They're longer, they're faster, they're a little more athletic. And I think that's what Vic Koenning has done a great job of bringing people that fit his style. There's lots of outside linebackers, strong safeties, rovers, guys that are hybrid safety linebackers. I think you can't have enough of those type of guys, 200 pounds to 215, that can be hybrid safety, outside linebacker, bandit, rover, whatever you call all those people that have to run and play different positions. I think that's where he's kind of solidified this team from top to bottom on defense.
So does he play a more aggressive style defense? Like we may get beat once in a while deep, but we're going to force you to make a play? Or is it like a bend, don't break? Like you're going to, get a 5-yard penalty somewhere. You're going to get a hold. We'll get a sack, see if you can put 10 to 12 play drives together. And a lot of people don't think they can on a regular basis.
Well, you can't on a regular basis. You can't do it hardly anymore. But I think diversity, being diverse in his approach to the game, giving you multiple looks. I think he wants to be able to give you a lot of pressure without leaving people in an unsafe position. Playing zero coverage and things like that. I don't think that's his style. But what he'll do is he'll come and attack you with different people from different positions, and I think that's very important. And his ability to do that, it is 3-4, 3-5 defense. Pete Jenkins used to work for me when I was at Auburn. Pete Jenkins, the great line coach. And I'd say, Pete, what kind of defense are we running over there at Auburn? He'd say, I'd say, what's 3 and 4, Terry? I said 7. What's 5 and 2? I say 7. We're going to play a 7-man front. Somehow we're going to play. So Dick's going to find a way of playing a 7-man front a lot of different ways to give you heat up there, but try to be safe on the deep ball.
So I always wonder this. I don't, maybe too smart for my own good. You're rocking and rolling offensively in the first half, but in the second half they're going to make adjustments. Do you wait for them to make adjustments? Do you wait for them to stop you, or say we're going to do something else because those adjustments aren't going to work? We're just going to do something completely different. How do you handle that?
Well, I think a rule that I've always had is I don't want us to come out with the same 3 plays the second half I had the first place, because that's what they're looking for, the same old thing. But again, you do what you're good at. I mean, you can do the same 8, 9 plays, just mix it up so they get a different one on first, a different one on second, a different on third. So I think it's the way you call plays more than that many plays that you have. I've always said if you only had 7 plays, 3 runs and 4 passes, but you would run any one of those 7 on first down and any one of those 7 on 4th and inches, you'd have a pretty good offense. So the key is to be able to run everything against every situation. And that's what I think you have to do. But defensively, I think the defense has to be able to react to a lot of different things. And I think the hybrid players are critical in today's game in what we're seeing game week and game in and game out.
All right, so we're talking with Terry Bowden, ULM Warhawks head coach. Couple more questions for you. Really appreciate your time. Let's talk about the back end. Who is on the back end of the Warhawks defense?
Well, we've got a couple of Simeon Hines at one safety and A.J. Watts at the other safety. Simeon was here last year, kind of came to his own late. We struggled last year, so we've got there too. A.J. Watts sat out a year. He came from Akron. He sat out a year, and there's an outstanding talent back there. They kind of hold it down. We've got some real good corners. I think we've got 4 of them that have played at the cornerback position. They're kind of back in too, although they'll play a lot tighter, as you see with corners play. But you got a really good there with Biggers and Mayberry on one side, Godsey and Tillery on the other side. You got guys that have played a lot of football that have their skill set. And so I think we've got a little better depth and talent level back there. But again, we're big on not giving up the big play. To me, turnovers and big plays are the things that make a good team great or a bad team worse. And so you want to avoid giving up big plays, 1-play drives you can't have, and on defensive side, not getting turnovers. We hardly, we maybe last in the nation last year in turnover and causing turnovers. And a lot of that has to do with you don't have guys that can run fast and get to the ball. If you got 7 or 8 guys around the ball, you're gonna get your turnovers. But that's been a key emphasis for us. We've got to create turnovers and don't give up the big play.
All right, quickly, let's talk about the schedule coming up. You got Army to begin the season, right? I mean, how do you prepare for an offense that you don't know what you're going to see, right? Army's always run the triple option, but they're giving that up.
Well, I don't know what, you're right. We don't know what we're going to see. We know they've said they're going to be in a shotgun. I don't know that you can run the triple option out of a shotgun. I can't see any of the academies totally going away from a wishbone type running attack. But we're getting ready for exactly what we think they're going to do. And I guess it's going to be a case, are we going to be ready for what we think they're going to do, or they're going to be able to execute what they're going to do differently? And I think that's going to be something that we'll be as prepared as we can be for. We won't know what they're going to run, and they're not going to know what we're going to play against it. But we're going to do our homework and try to do the best job we can of figuring that out. But I'm not totally convinced that you're going to run. You're not going to run the ball a lot, even in a shotgun. There's a lot of teams that run a pretty good multiple option game out of a shotgun.
And then to wrap things up, you got A&M a couple of weeks later. After what happened to them last year with App State, I'm not sure they're going to be sleeping on ULM out of the Sun Belt this season, Coach. Sean Clark ruined it for you.
Well, considering that Jimbo Fisher, back in 1983, he's the first quarterback I ever signed out of high school. He was my starting quarterback for 3 years. He was my quarterback coach for 11. So I don't think Jimbo's going to give me any slack. Damian Craig was my quarterback at Auburn. He's their wide receiver coach. I don't think I get any slack from them. And after at Texas A&M, that we're going to go into a hostile environment there. But you know what? When you're at a Group of 5 program and you play a couple of money games on the road, we play Ole Miss, we play Texas A&M last year, Texas and Alabama. You got to go out there and just shoot from the hip and have a great time playing, because those teams should have more people than you got. And so the key is to go out there and play a great game. Sometimes it happens. You upset one of those teams that you're not supposed to. And sometimes every dozen years or so. But I know at Akron, we beat Pitt at Pitt, and we beat Northwestern the year they played in the Big Ten championship. But both those were upsets. You need turnovers. I'm not going to get too hung up on A&M or Ole Miss, because those are games that are just a great opportunity for us to pay some bills and go out there and those kids do something that they will remember for the rest of their lives and have a big upset.
Well, I mean, Marshall did it, App State did it,
and
Georgia Southern did it all on the same day last year. Right. So you just never know. He's Terry Bowden. He is the head coach of the ULM Warhawks. Really appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you so much. We'll see you when you come down to Lafayette to take on the Cajuns. Best of luck this season. Thanks again.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
That was great.
Bye-bye.
We'll I'll get it out. We'll post it tomorrow. We'll let your guys know.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.